Legacy. It's a word that has come a lot to my attention, especially lately. First and foremost, as an individual, and most especially as a parent. What is legacy? Have you ever given it a thought? Have you ever considered it? As it, how things just, okay, you've seen them several times, but they just stand out at different seasons of your life? Has legacy stood up for you? Legacy simply means something to be passed on. And in this video today, we'll be discussing becoming a legacy conscious parent. What is legacy? We've talked about it as something to be passed on. We'll be talking about what legacy is, who a legacy conscious parent is, why it is important to be legacy conscious, what legacies you should leave as a parent, how you could inculcate these legacies, and of course, as part of our closing tradition, we'll be leaving you with a quote, something to remember this episode by, so that even if all else is lost, it can guide you, it can be there as something to take home or something to live with you for the rest of your life. Something you can always go back to, and maybe a reason to go back to watch this episode. As usual, don't watch it alone. Go and get in your friends, your loved ones, that parent you've been judging since that is not doing so well. Instead of judging them, please, this will be a way to help them become better, to just become legacy conscious. Now, let's continue. If legacy is something you pass on, then what are these things that you need to pass on? Why are they even important in the first place? First and foremost, let's go on to being a legacy, who a legacy conscious parent is. For me, I see a legacy conscious parent as one who is concerned, who's conscious about how he was raised, how that is affecting his parenting now, what he's going to pass on as part of his, of course, legacy, right? When he's long gone. What you're going to pass on, you don't start building when you are leaving or when you're at the verge of leaving. It is something you do every single day. And as a parent, so many things come to mind. So many things are important for us to pass on, to bequeath to our children, and by extension, to their children's children. But then, why is it important for us to be legacy conscious? Number one, legacy consciousness defines your associations and the company you keep. For instance, personally, I do not just want relationships or friendships. I want something that is formidable, something that my children can leverage on. No, I'm not talking about transactional relationships. I'm talking about relational ones. Like, okay, my child needs counsel on the subject matter and I'm not readily available. Will my friend be able to hold space for her and really guide her heart, talk to her mind the way that I would, or even better? We have family events. Who would be there apart from the crowd, the mammoth crowd of people who really do not know us per se? Who will be there? Those are the friends who will be there for me to draw from in on days where I am dangerously low. There are times where you need the courage to keep daring greatly, right? You need to be brave. You need that whisper in your ear to remind you that you can do this, that you've got this. Who is that friend who will be there in the moment to pour into you? And by extension, if that friend can hold space for you, if that friend can counsel you, means that they are raising children, quality children too, right? Of course. And what if those friends can be friends with my children too? You see, it's not just for me now. I'm thinking about friendships that I can pass on to my children too. God forbid is not a strategy when it comes to parenting. And by now, we should know that tomorrow is not guaranteed. You could actually pass on today. I've had a situation where my neighbor's mom, on her knees, God rest her soul, she was having morning devotion with her children, and that's where she passed on. Because tomorrow is not guaranteed, and it's not like our last days will write us letters to say, prepare for death is coming tomorrow. What if you pass on today? Who will be there to feel in for you, step in your shoes, and parent the heart of your children? Do they even know what values, what plans you have, parenting plans or goals you have to continue with, to parent your children with? Or do you just have fair weather friends who are there when things are okay, transactional friends who only pop up or crop up when they need something from you? We have to actually sit down and take into perspective what tomorrow holds for our children. We have to build around them a community of supportive people who will actually step in and feel our shoes. Sometimes we're even so sick that we cannot continue with our routines. So sometimes we are carried away by life. Okay, something happens, for instance, you are pregnant, for instance, as a mom, and your energy levels are not as high as they used to be. Who's that friend who will be with your children? Who's that friend who will maybe continue some of the routines that are very, very sacrosanct with them? Those are the kind of friendships you want to build as a legacy conscious parent. So being legacy conscious means that uh, it's important because we will no longer just do things because we want to. Our relationships will be defined. Our friendships will be organized. We would really, really, really structure the way we pour into, the way we nurture those friendships, so that at the end of the day, we are giving as much as we are getting. When I say give and get, I don't mean by all means it's not financial, it's not transactional. You're giving of your time, your energy, and just everything about your talent as much as the other person is giving. You are cooperating. My dad used to tell us that cooperation is one person is coing, the other person is operating, and then there's cooperation. So if you are operating and the other person is just taking, then something is wrong somewhere. Number two, it helps you set your priorities right. We are a legacy conscious parent. What is important to you in every season is very essential. For instance, if you are big on values, when it comes to activities, when it comes to places to go, when it comes to events, you will prioritize these well. When it comes to people to even employ, when it comes to, in fact, every area of your life, you are very, very hell bent on prioritizing, because what's essential to you in season A is different from season B. And because you are now thinking long term, thinking legacy, you are even able to show grace. Somebody is doing something that maybe doesn't sit well with you at the moment. That doesn't mean that your boundaries are not defined. It just means that you are more patient, understanding that that person may be going through something of their own, understanding that it may actually be a learning curve for them, and understanding that they are humans and humans are prone to errors, right? You see, your priorities will shift. If, for instance, today you asked me to go someplace with you because I am doing this, of course, my answer will be no. Because of all the other activities I may have planned out with the children or with myself, my answer will be a no. So, becoming a legacy conscious parent helps you prioritize better. Final one is it informs your personal development path. What skills do you need to learn and adopt? What value system has served you before that no longer serves you now? What friendship circle do you need to access so that you would expand your thinking? I recently joined the DDK's future forward female community. And for me, it's not just about the learning resources, it's being around women who are future thinking, who are forward thinking, who would rub off on me, who I can also rub off on. Being in a community of goal-getters, being in a community of women who are actually walking in your shoes. Sometimes because of all the challenges that comes with parenting, you are tempted to maybe be laid back, maybe to give up on your dreams. Maybe you feel guilty for being ambitious as a mom or as a parent generally. It goes both ways, right? So being in such community, for instance, will help me see that, well, there are other women who are daring greatly. There are other women who are feeling their shoes in their capacity as parents and also fulfilling purpose, right? So my personal development plan is sharpened by the kind of parent I want to be. I know that I have to heal from my childhood traumas. I know that I have to break negative cycles. I know that I have to become an emotionally intelligent parent. I know that I have to learn how to actually teach my children, because it's not just enough to know something. it's also very important to know how to condense it, how to compact it, how to dilute it so the little minds can understand it, how to pass across that message in the language that they can understand so that they can run with it, you know. So being a legacy conscious parent makes me very specific on or clear about my personal development path. I'm not bothered about taking in, should I say, empty calories. I'm not bothered about watching movies that do not serve me. Yes, even in the place of entertainment, some movies teach you a lot too. So it just defines your path when it comes to personal development. Because if you are developed, it means that your family, your children by extension, will, of course, get developed too. A bonus point would be becoming legacy conscious guides how you parent, of course, because you want to pass on you want to pass on the legacy of calmness, gentle parenting, conscious, purposeful parenting. You know that you have to, of course, become step up your game, become emotionally intelligent, learn how to manage stress better, learn how to handle anger a lot more. So that way, you see, you would not yell unnecessarily. You would be more patient with your children because you're not just parenting for the here and now alone. You will not be an eggshell parent, right? Anything just happens, which you just explode and erupt like a volcanic eruption, right? So you guide how you parent. You now are more conscious. You now are more watchful. You now are more intentional and deliberate about the way you raise your children because now you are modeling a blueprint for how they too should parent, and of course it's come naturally to them because they've seen you be calm through all the seasons. They've seen you really really live all the values that you taught, and you have upheld them no matter what. Now, we've talked about what legacy is, who a legacy conscious parent is. We've talked about why it is important to become legacy conscious. Now, let's dive right into what legacies you should bequeath to your children. Have you shared this video? Don't keep us as your best kept secret, please. We need this show to get bigger. We need to bring in more guests. We need it to be a go to place for parents when they need to learn anything about parenting. We cannot do that by ourselves. We can shoot amazing content, right? But if you do not share it to the world, nobody will know about the Larry brand, okay? So please take a minute, click on the share button, and thank you very much for always. Now, what legacies can you bequeath to your children? First on the list is strong values. Of course, the values can be like the anchor, all right? The anchor to a ship that makes sure that it does not go left or right or either thither when the wind is strong, when the storm is raging. When your children have strong values, they are able to choose, pick and choose who they associate with, who they interact with, who they become friends with. They are able to pick and choose what they learn from their friends. We've talked about the positive aspects of peer pressure, right? They're able to even know what peers to associate with. Now, have you also noticed, or is it just me? There are a lot of people who are amazing in their zones of genius, but they've not mastered the sense of self. Some of them can be very arrogant, some of them can be very full of themselves. You see, if your children do not have strong values, it will become very difficult for them to isolate the virtue they want to learn from that person, and it will to be a case of them just seeing someone, meeting them in their zones of genius and learning everything else. So it's important that they know how to, of course, declutter. Okay, separate roles. This person is very, very excellent in maybe teaching. However, he's very proud and arrogant and rude and obnoxious because my values do not align with those aspects of him. I'm just going to focus on learning from his wealth of knowledge when it comes to teaching and carefully ignore those other, in quotes, baggage. Do you understand? So, instilling strong values in your children will take them a long, long way through life. And it's a very, very important legacy to bequeath to your children. The next one is love legacy. Now, in Nigeria, especially, a lot of women have been programmed to believe that ah, men must cheat, right? It's a very controversial issue. Men must cheat. Some people even go as far as to saying that it's okay that he goes steps out, right? But I am the woman in the house. It's always me he comes back to. This is faulty. This is weird. It's out of place. It's I mean it's a lot. I'm losing words to qualify it. You see, because this has been modeled to them. Of course, we have come from a long line of polygamy, right? We have seen it, we have experienced it. Okay, for me personally, I wasn't from a polygamous home, but a lot of parents have been there. They've seen model to them, so they've come to believe it as a part of their lives, So they have taken that mindset and they run with it, and they are going to still give it to their daughters. So even if they are getting beaten and disrespected and battered and abused in their marriages, and of course, I mentioned disrespected, they would stay. A lot of African women will not step out of abusive marriages. Number one, because of what the society would think. Number two, because they've been programmed to see it as normal. So, what love legacy are you modeling for your children? Are you teaching your sons that it is okay to disrespect a woman? Are you teaching your daughters that it is okay to sit still in an abusive marriage and shut up and take it? What love legacy are you bequeathing to your children? It is very important because they will come. We should understand that we came from a long line of parents who needed to do what they had to do to survive. We have to now heal from that survival mentality and grow into a thriving mindset, an excellent mindset, so that we will now be able to raise children who are wholesome, who are healed, who are full, who are well, right? Who are full enough to pour into others, because that's what we need as a society, so that we can be able to dominate on global platforms. If we realize that what demons or giants our parents fought are different from the ones we're fighting today, our approach to parenting, our approach to raising children will take a 360-degree overhaul. We will model love as something beautiful, something our children should look forward to, something our children are blessed to have, instead of something to be afraid of, something to want to run away from. All right. The whole mindset about being strong women, the whole mindset about being boss chicks, the whole mindset about being alpha female. Oh God. I hope we know it's wrong, because, of course, the Bible said of us that we are delicate. We should be treated and taken care of as such. Delicateness doesn't mean weakness. But then, because we have been around women who had to step up and become breadwinners, for instance, we have now learned to be tough, to be rigid, to match our men energy for energy, E for E, toe to toe, ideas for ideas. We don't want to back down, because that doggedness, that grit, that resilience, that determination, that gut, that audacity, that assertiveness was what we needed to fill in the shoes in that moment. A lot of us now have to go back and heal from all of that, because that legacy has been modeled for us from a place of survival. That was what the family needed in that season. That was what our mothers showed to us, for instance. That's what our fathers showed to us, for instance. We now have to go back and rewrite that script so that our children can begin to live from a clean slate. What love legacy are you bequeathing to your children? The next one will be family traditions. Apart from cultural heritage, apart from the stories or folklores being inherited from our parents or grandparents, what other family traditions do we have that we need to uphold and honor? For us, every Christmas we go spend Christmas with the paternal grandparents, right? It's something we've honored over the years. That's, for us, is a tradition. Another tradition we uphold very dearly in my family is a tradition of honor. Honor being treating all the people as special and as important. From the person who opens your gates, to the person who drives your car, to the person who makes your food, to the person who does your laundry, to the governor or heads of state. Everybody must be treated as important and as special. Special because if there was nobody opening your gates, you would have to do it yourself. Special because if there's nobody making your meals, you'd have to spend the time you're using to conquer the world to do something as basic or as mundane as doing dishes. especially because if there's nobody driving that car, you'd have to do it by yourself. And if know anything about the driving scenery of a lot of cities in this country, you know that wakashege is a thing, they mad, go punish your papa, and all of those things can increase your cortisol level and mess you up, especially when you have one life-changing meeting to take. You may even go late. So these people are special. And it reminds me of that song. I think it's by Burna Boy. I be common person, but my happiness will not be your own. It just said that everybody has a role. It doesn't mean that your role is more than mine. All right. We have to honor the people in our lives and learn to bequeath this as a legacy to our children. It's not okay. It's not okay at all to insult those that work with you. You are mad, you're stupid, you have mental disorder. No, that they are working under your employ does not make them any less human than they are. If you need to break down someone's self-esteem or self-worth just so you can feel in charge or in control, then you need to go work on your self-esteem. If you need to tear down someone in order to feel bold and big and elevated, then you need to go work on your self-esteem. Let us collectively, one family at a time, or each family at a time, work on projecting honor to our children so that they won't start talking to their nannies or caregivers rudely, or talking to the people at their school gates rudely, because if we do not model these things to them, they were not born with them in the first place. Next one is emotional intelligence and maturity. The way some parents talk, you'll be wondering, like, is this person a parent or a child? There are a lot of grown-up babies raising babies these days. They are so immature that you would be amazed. Somebody hits your car and the first thing is you're very stupid. What has that got to do with anything? 2 cars have been hit. What's the problem? 2 cars have been hit. What solutions can we begin to proffer? How do we fix it? Does that affect me as a person, my sanity, or my being stupid or wise? Does that have anything to do with me being a woman? Some people will not start name calling. Some people will not start being very, 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 very rude. It's really, really uncalled for, If you are emotionally intelligent, you will know how to be empathetic. That person may have hit your car because have you gone out lately? Have you seen this? Have you felt the heat? Have you seen the prices of stuff everywhere? Do you understand how the dollar is just going up like age and never coming down? There are a lot of things that can actually mess with someone's mind and psychology these days. If you are emotionally intelligent, you'll be empathetic enough and graceful enough to just say, you know what, I understand. Can we fix it? How can we fix this? Or can you fix your car while I fix mine? Even if you need me to fix your car, can you just not insult me while at it? We can actually hold space for each other and understand that above everything else, we are humans, And it could actually be you on the other side of the story. It could be you one day who hits another person's car. How would you like to be treated? Emotional intelligence goes like full circle in every aspect of our parenting life. All right, it's not just from hitting cars, from maybe your maid breaking your glass cup, or maybe shattering your beautiful chinaware or silverware. At the end of the day, how do you react or respond in that situation? Are you able to treat things as objects and people as special? Are you able to understand that God did not send his son to die for that plate, but he did for that maid? Are you able to understand that it was a mistake and treat it as proof that they are learning? So when you're emotionally intelligent, you become calmer in the way you approach things, in the way you see things, and in the way you handle situations. The next one is financial literacy skills. A lot of us damage our children unconsciously from the things that we see. There's no money. They ask you've unconsciously, unknowingly killed your children's ability to dream. They want something, we cannot afford it. They need this thing. Do you think we pluck money from trees? They want this thing where you have not even eaten. They keep hearing these things over and over and over again, and it becomes a part of their subconscious mind. What about telling them to put that thing on their vision boards and learn how to imagine that they already have it, and then work towards earning that thing? What happens to teaching them the power of visualization? There are books, I once got a book on the power of imagination, the power of Henry's imagination. Just about a boy who lost his favorite stuffed animal. And his grandpa, he was frantic, he was looking for it. He searched everywhere, could not find it. So the grandpa taught him to just imagine that he was still with it, stuffed animal, and was playing with it. He got so busy thinking about it, and then one day the mailman brought it and said he saw it on the road when he was bringing mails in. You see, if we're able to teach our children to visualize, vision boarding, goal setting, the dignity in labor, instead of bashing them or tearing them down or negatively programming them by the words we speak, by the comments we make, by the way we even talk to people. This economy is bad though. Hey, this thing in this here now they'll say in this before it was Buhari economy. Now is this Tinubu's economy. Yeah, everything is just expensive. Remember, there's power in the tongue, right? We're shaping our destinies, our realities, and by extension, the futures of our children and their children by the words we constantly speak to them. What voice of yours do your children hear in their heads, especially when you're not there? What is buried deep down in their subconscious minds when you're not there? That guides them, that serves as that clip that keeps playing to them. Is it that there is abundance in the world? Because even in the midst of recession, a lot of businesses, ginormous businesses, are birthed. In the midst of problems, can we begin to reorientate them to see solutions that can be birthed for them? Yes, the road is bad. Is there a solution waiting for you to think about it in that instant, in that problem? Or the economy is poor, is there a solution that you could create that you would prefer to that problem? Let us stop seeing problems as things to be afraid of, but as challenges to embrace, so that in thinking critically, creatively, and analytically, we'll be able to create solutions, lasting solutions. Because trust me, there was no railway problem, there was no shipping problem, there was no transportation problem. A lot of the companies that are birthed in the world today would not even, there would be no use for them. So see a problem, look at it very well. What solution is in here? Because every disadvantage comes with it a seed of an equivalent advantage. What seed are you not seeing? Stop making your problems look so big that you shrink in the midst of it and forget that somebody has to solve it, and that person may well be you. So in teaching your children to see problems as good or as seeds, you are teaching them by extension financial literacy skills. You're teaching them how to make money, move money, manage money, multiply money, and give back to the society. It comes from the language you speak, the way your association with money, your relationship with money, the way you spend. Some people are so rich, yet they are afraid of giving, right? They live like paupers in quote because of fear that they may lose what they have. If you know that you are abundant, you carry that abundance mentality, you will not be able to give it, you will not be afraid to give a tip, because how much water will you possibly remove from an ocean that would dry it up? It's a mindset. Most of the times, your children are saying what you are doing and not even paying attention to what you are saying. We never say it enough. We will not stop saying it on this show that monkey sees, monkey does. The way they see you interact or relate with money is going to form a bedrock for how they too will react or relate with money. The bonus point would be community. What community are you building right now? Are you a part of right now that you can bequeath to your children? Some people have made it far in life because they stood on the shoulders of the community their parents had, and it catapulted them to the place of dominance or relevance that they needed to be. Remember, to access quality networks, you have to be a quality person too. You would not want to, you personally would not want a person who is of low value or low, call them empty calories really, to be in your circle. So don't be one. If you want to access Otedola circle, for instance, what value are you going to bring to that table? Who are you? Who do you need to become to be able to fit into that group, that class? All right. So far we've talked about what legacy is, who a legacy conscious parent is, why it is important to become legacy conscious, and what legacies to bequeath to your children. If you have not shared this video, come on, how will we grow if you do not water us, if you do not put in the work to? Sharing is free, Do like, share, and then turn on your okay, of course, subscribe, and then turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know when we upload. All right, and don't be stingy with those comments. Please drop them so that someone may get the courage to also say something. Remember, we're trying to build a community of beacons who will be there for each other in this very Herculean task called parenting. Thank you very much. Let's go on to how you can inculcate these legacies in your children. The first one is oral communication. Here it brings to mind gardening, and you being a gardener. You see how the gardener is very careful in selecting the seeds he wants to sow, preparing the bed. Okay, sometimes the nursery, preparing the, is it moss grass or something? The beds he needs to put the seeds on. From then on to it's a very careful process from transplanting. There are plants that will not do well in some climates or regions. There are plants that will not do well outside a greenhouse. It's very, very careful of the environment, the level of exposure to the sunlight. It's careful about how much water or nutrients or fertilizer the plants get. Think about yourself as a farmer. All right. It's always consulting with other farmers or agricultural bodies to make sure that he's doing the right thing for his farm. The farmer can be that thorough with seeds. Don't you think you should maybe borrow a leaf from his book and be also as meticulous with your children? Oral communication. You're constantly teaching, you're constantly saying, you're affirming your children, you're telling them why these things are important, you're telling them what they are. We're a legacy conscious family. Mommy, what does that mean? It means that we're just not living for today, we're living for 100 years to come. We're living because in hundreds of years to come, we want our family name to have been propagated or sealed, cemented in the sands of time. You see, it now defines how they see life. They will not just be looking for money that they will spend now for the next 5 minutes or 10 or 15. They are now looking at something that can outlive or outlast them. Number two is modeling. The way you are living your life can just be that message that they are receiving, all right? You're talking about them making quality friends and they are seeing the trash I'm sorry, the trash you're hanging out with, the very classless behavior that they are projecting, the way they dress, the way they are rude to people. Something happens and are you stupid? Are you mad? Don't you have sense? Come on now, let's go to the cheese, really. Let's stop talking to people like they're animals, The way you're modeling these things to them is a very good way to inculcate legacy. Next one is conscious programming. There's this thing I tell my children when others say there is a casting down, before I end it, they just chant with me, we shall say there is a lifting up. It's a mindset. When others say there is a casting down, we shall say there is a lifting up. The relationship we have with God, of course, you know already that I'm a believer. This is in no way to shove down my religious beliefs to you, but see it as a learning experience, right? If we came to understand our relationship with God, we would not give voice to a lot of things that we go through, especially because we are afraid. We would maybe look at Peter when he was walking on water with Christ. At some point, he was doing it because he was focused on Christ. And the moment he looked around, he got afraid. Can we stop looking around and just focus on the God who sees all things, who knew us before we were formed, who has called us according to his purpose? Can we understand that he's able to provide exceedingly above all we can ever ask or think he's able to do, provide, and be? Can we just understand that though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that we should fear no evil? Why? Because he's with us. Can we understand that he has commanded us several times to not be afraid? In the midst of all fears, there's one thing that is constant, whether the giant is is what David faced, or a bigger giant that we're facing today. In the midst of all, there's always one person that is constant, or one being, or one power, and that's God. And look back at all the things that made you afraid. Look back at all the challenges that you had to go through. Did you come out of them or not? Was it by your power or might? You see, by consciously programming your children, telling them what you want to see, saying it often and often. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. In this case, faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of your mouth, and the power of your testimony. What you want to see, you say it every day. I am strong. I am able, for God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of love, of power, and of a strong mind. If you keep telling them, programming them with this word every single day, you see that in that moment, when fear creeps in, instead of them allowing fear to grip them, remember those words and say it back to that situation. The last one is creating opportunities for experiential learning. Let us stop shielding our children from challenges. Let us stop seeing. I heard somebody the other day saying home fun instead of homework. Excuse you, it is work. Work is not bad. Home fun, no, it's not fun. It's work. Sit down there and do it. Problems are, like we said, they come with seeds of equivalent advantage, right? If they don't see it as something that makes them grow, that expands them, they'll constantly see it as something they need to be shielded from. A lot of us came from not so buoyant backgrounds, and right now we are shielding our children from the very things that made us the resilient, the dogged, the determined people that we are today. We provide everything for them. We raise them in a bubble, so much so that they one day, oh my God, the entitlement with which my daughter came and said, she misplaced something and she said, oh, well, mom will buy another one. I told her to go to school without it. Mommy, everyone will have. I said, yes. If you understood that it was that important to you, you'd have kept it more carefully. I'd gotten, okay, I think it was a recorder or something. I had gotten 3 for the 3 of them. And then you're coming very casually to tell me, yeah, mommy will buy another one. No, she's not going to buy another one. Go and search for the one you have. And I think they saw bits and pieces of what they had, and then green and white was mixed together, pink was at the bottom, and then she went to school with you. I said, did you find it? She said, yes. Good. Next time, just understand that okay, that you can readily buy it again does not mean that you should not treat it well. That money could as well be used for anything else. Take care of what you have. You see that I'm not saying it verbatim, I'm just paraphrasing. When they say weak men raise strong men raise weak people, right? Because we came from poverty, we don't want our children to be exposed to that heat or pressure. Then we shield them, we put them in a bubble, and then they become weak and entitled and very, very lazy children that cannot even take care of themselves. What does that do for you? What legacy are you propagating in that sense? Allow your children to make mistakes. Allow your children to learn. In my home, we tell them that mistakes are proof that you are trying. So if you're not making mistakes, it means that you're not trying. And if you're not trying, how else would you learn? I hope you've learned something today. I hope you have derived so much joy, much more than I did from putting this together. For me, this is part of my legacy too. It gave me so much joy. I think was this morning or last night when my daughter said, are you shooting your video tomorrow? Yeah. It was yesterday. And I said yes. And she goes, well, thank God they are on YouTube. One day we'll watch them too. And it dawned on me many, 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 many years from now, probably when I'm long gone, these videos will be there for them, right? Or for their children too. I would say that the Lorry brand, in all our expressions, whether it's newsletter or podcast or whatever events or resources we put together, is part of my legacy to ensuring that parents begin to get into the awareness or consciousness of raising excellent children, of becoming excellent parents. It is my belief that you actually took something today and you're going to begin from here and now to build up on what you have learned here. And as our closing tradition, I'm going to leave you with this quote I saw from Sarah Parks as I was putting this together. I'll just read from my notes. Conscious parenting is about tuning in to become aware of the impact, both positive and negative, of the way you were parented, how you're parenting, and how you intend to parent, and the legacy this creates for your child. I hope you actually did learn something and that this brought you so much value. Until we meet again in yet another conversation here on the Larry Brand podcast, be present, be active, be conscious, and stay excellent.